should be playable, right? Bishop d2, and then let's say we go b6, and hoping to bring this knight via b7 to c5.
Like
Rook e8. Okay. So he does play it. Yeah, because now, even if white protects the one rook, knight d4, e takes d4 is very awkward for white because there is no jump with this knight. It's like you have to go to f1. So perhaps a decent prophylactical move.
So probably the position still remains in the affordable levels.
So
affordable
sort
limits.
Sort of dynamically equal, as they say, right? So, which basically means for most of the fans and for the commentators,
we have no idea.
We have no idea what's going on the board.
Then c5 is played.
c5 is played. Okay.
Leading to unbalanced position.
So if b6 then c6 apparently, so he's trying to keep this knight on a5 offside for as long as possible. But you get some squares, you give some squares. Now knight d5 becomes an idea in some positions, as well as well, e4 is not so much. Yeah, the knight on a5 is still there. And now it was seen that Grischuk is nervous. Yeah. By the way he almost touched the knight on f6. Yeah, knight d5. You need to do it. Knight f5.
Maybe
d5.
after bishop d2 there is something else. For example, yes, I've been thinking about knight f4.
Knight f4.
Just leaving it complicated. And
then if knight takes on d4, you take with the queen, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Jan simply captures on d5, and then on d4. Simplifies everything. Tries to say your knight is not escaping from a5.
Yeah, but maybe even taking on d4 with pawn is not as bad as...
Okay, but then white takes on e8.
Rook takes.
Goes bishop d2.
Well, I mean...
Now the real question is how bad is the situation after b6?
Yeah, but the point that maybe I can try some weird rook a2 stuff.
Queen d1?
I was thinking about this.
Queen a2.
Yeah, but you know, like that still position remains. No, but I take on b5 in the end, and it leads to an equal.
I mean, at the very least, you have knight b3 as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, after king h2, obviously, queen takes b5. You protect the e8 square. Takes, and some perpetual has to be.
Yeah. So
has to be achieved this way or another. Check.
And take on d4.
g6 takes on d4. All right. So.
But personally.
But the feeling was...
I did like king f1 there.
You have to agree that it's very narrow. The path becomes very narrow for black.
Yeah, obviously.
So what happened in reality, rook e8, and not bishop d2, but bishop f4 was played, attacking the c7
Which is
pawn.
very logical.
Which is...
But also I didn't see the refutation after bishop d2, rook e2, king f1. Bishop f4 is...
Bishop f4 looks like a clever thing to do.
Just simply rook
e7, okay. Queen a4 is one of the ways to attack the knight, but then this allows b6, yeah?
Or some queen f5 stuff, I don't know.
Queen a4 played. So now, b6, I was thinking bishop c7, but black can take on c5 with the queen, yeah?
Yeah.
Queen a4 played. Not that black has any other moves, yeah, it seems that b6 he needs to play.
Yeah, if queen f5 there is simply queen d4, I think so.
I don't see why.
I mean, like opening the position for... Knight is really misplaced.
Yeah, so queen f5, queen d4 is just a pawn up, it seems. Yeah, because rook d7 doesn't win this pawn back, I believe. Queen e4 in this case. Queen e4. Okay, so b6 played and c6 played. So the knight is arrested on a5. The c7 pawn is nailed to the ground, cannot move, needs constant protection. Queen b4 is a threat. It's a bad position for, it's simply a bad position for black. And Grischuk is down to 220 something. It's really, really hard to find a move, and g5 might turn to be just a loss of a tempo, because seems like bishop is heading towards d2 anyway. Yeah, the knight is the problem. You can't really move it. Queen f5 now simply allows queen d4, no compensation whatsoever. It's simply a very, very bad position. So one more time, how did he get there? Knight a5, but then we didn't like his bishop d4 as well, right?
Yeah.
That was the next point where...
there were just two...
Once again, we are not certain, but we felt like e4 was... possibly was a better move. Yeah, knight a5, let's agree. Let's believe Grischuk,
first on knight e7, but well, like after knight e5, c4, I think we consider e4.
e4 as an interesting try at least. Okay, so in a game, king h7 was played. Obviously, Jan feels that his position has a lot to offer, so he has to be, he wants to be really, really precise in this one. Can we check this forcing line once again? Bishop d2, rook e2, rook e2, bishop takes a5. We said rook a2, which looks like the only move, yeah? Queen c4.
I mean, like we can simply take the pawn.
Takes, and after rook a5, yeah, actually this should be winning.
Yeah.
This should be
as
winning.
Well.
Rook d1, then to take on d4, and those pawns, very, very far advanced pawns there.
But he played something
Jan
else.
found something else. Rook to b4, attacking not the knight but the d4 pawn. Rook to b4. So he wants to capture on d4, and why not? The whole match against Jan, it felt that well, if any player was putting pressure, it was Jan Nepomniachtchi, not Alexander Grischuk. So, still, there are chances to fight, but the position looks really, really tough.
The problem that even after queen d1, I mean,
the position remains terrible because you cannot trade the queens.
Yeah.
Then you lose the endgame because the c7 pawn is...
Everything is hanging. Everything is on the maybe the worst spots on the board. Oh yeah, like queen f6 is probably...
Rook takes d4. I just thought of it. Rook takes d4 and then f5 was played pretty quickly. Rook takes d4 because check, king h2. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Originally we thought it's got to be check. Yeah. King h2, take, and perhaps rook e4. What Grischuk didn't like. It's like I'm trying to justify his last move. He plays f5 controlling e4 square because rook e4.
So black is forced to take on e4. Then we take with queen with check.
With queen with check. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I mean, technically you can play queen c5, but that's once again that's just
bad,
lost.
Yeah. Okay, well, queen e6, rook d4, and f5.
f5, yeah. So pawn up for Nepomniachtchi.
Bishop is
should be absolutely winning position. Bishop e3, cutting all the possible counterplays.
Probably
g5.
One of the last chances to create something. I mean, just to darken the water.
Yeah, okay. He wants to play f4. That's clear. But I mean, one thing to do is just to play g3, after which should be completely winning for white.
Also, by the way, I think we can prevent f4 playing queen b4.
Queen b4, so that f4 rook goes to e4.
Or
you can take as well. Yeah, that's a nice line.
Okay, well,
takes,
you can take. Black is forced to take and play
Black
knight b7.
captures, goes knight b7,
but it's still...
and this is completely winning, of course. Yeah, d3, right?
Yeah.
Queen b4 played. Bravo, you found the strongest move in the position. No, there is simply no way back for Alexander.
Yeah, well, like rook f7, but then rook d8 probably. Because also e1 square is captured. Or rook g7.
Rook g7. But then, yeah, even happier, you're going rook d8.
So the only task for Jan is not to blunder in one,
not to blunder heavily.
Yeah.
Now at least the knight is coming back to the game.
But still, like, you play knight b3, but what to do next? Not many good squares, unfortunately for Grischuk. Yeah, rook f8, I mean, just, if you can, why not to do it? Rook d8.
Rook d8.
Yeah.
Knight
And
b3. And then one of the ways to finish Grischuk off
Queen
would
c4.
be to go queen c4. Yeah, in a cynical manner, but just this endgame should not be possible to save. It's not a single piece is moving for black after queen c4, and pawn takes. Well, I don't recall all that many tournaments that he won. He has won
Last year he
Town
won
Memorial in Moscow a couple of years ago.
Dortmund's Parkasten tournament.
Dortmund, yes, and perhaps
So bishop
it could have been a
d4
couple of more.
instead of queen c4, which what looks a bit.
Bishop d4, but perhaps it's well calculated, so that if you take, he takes with the queen and threatens rook d7.
Yeah, so
and apparently
still no checks.
Apparently there is no defense after rook d7.
So on if rook f7.
Here, not taking the bishop. Well, 10 seconds left for Grischuk. And in such position, I mean, there is... Okay, rook e7 played. But this allows queen takes e7, rook d7, and Jan wins the tournament. Yes, and queen e7 played.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the end. So in a brilliant manner, sacrificing the queen, obviously temporarily, because if queen takes, rook d7 takes the queen back, and White actually ends up being queen up after the d-pawn promotes. So, dramatic but not such a long tiebreak, and yeah, congrats to Ian Nepomniachtchi on winning the event in Moscow. He is leading the Grand Prix series after that, obviously.